Okay, let's try this again. I do not know what just happened. Basically, I was live and then something happened, you guys. I have no idea. Basically, shit quit working. So we're going to try this again. My computer shut off a minute ago. So we're going to try this again. Let's try to fix the angle here a little bit. Nope, that way. Okay. All right. So earlier today, I ran through a very brief, not in-depth timeline of Maddie Russo. If you have been under a rock and you do not know this basically true crime story,
like I was,
we are talking about a 19-year-old, people, a 19-year-old, 1 year, 2 years out from being a child, faked having 2 different types of cancer and scammed her followers out of $38,000. So tonight we are going to go through the timeline of everything. So this is a full sequence of events starting from February of 2022. That is when everything started in this story. So February 2022, Maddie Russo claimed she was diagnosed with stage 2 pancreatic cancer and acute lymphoblastic leukemia and was told a football-sized tumor was wrapped around her spine. She posted a video on LinkedIn explaining her story after the diagnosis. So this timeline basically is not accurate because what actually happened is in February of 2022, Maddie Russo, and by the way, if you want to follow this along, it is WQAD.com. I'll put this in the comments so that you are able to look it up. But it is WQAD.com / Maddie Russo timeline. So if you want to look this up and follow along with me. So basically in February of 2022, Maddie posted a LinkedIn video, which she also shared on her TikTok, which her TikTok has now been deleted. TikTok has taken her fully off. It wasn't TikTok's decision, though. It was actually the police department's decision because they were able to retrieve a warrant with TikTok to get all of her data. And I was able to find that out after doing some digging. So I've actually done some digging and was able to find some court documents and able to find out a little bit of things. So February 2022, she posts this video on LinkedIn and TikTok where she claims that she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and that it was stage 2 and that she had a football-sized tumor that was wrapped around her spine. Now, a few months later, after she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, she claimed she was diagnosed in October of 2021. And a few months later, in January of 2022, she was then diagnosed with leukemia. Now, if you are familiar with cancers at all, leukemia is very invasive and it is very rapid speed. Now, typically when you have these type of cancers, you undergo radiation, chemotherapy. There's many different treatments, but typically you do radiation chemotherapy and typically there is a loss of hair, including eyebrows, including eyelashes. I mean, it's very, very invasive. So just keep all of that in mind while we read through this, okay? Now, what happened after February 2022 is when everything skyrocketed because Maddie's very first TikTok went extremely viral, going over 13 million views. So people started to follow along with Maddie's story, including her college and different cancer associations, including the American Cancer Society, which she would later speak at events for American Cancer Society, and she spoke at her college. A GoFundMe was created titled Maddie's Fight Against Pancreatic Cancer, and it collected nearly $38,000 from about 400 donors before it was shut down by the company. Now, it was shut down by the company after so many donors started to basically send in reports saying this person is lying, this person doesn't actually have pancreatic cancer, this person doesn't have leukemia, etc., etc. Now, I was able to do a little bit more digging and found that GoFundMe released a statement in January of this year that says GoFundMe has, quote, GoFundMe has a zero tolerance policy for misuse of our platform and cooperates with law enforcement investigations of those accused of wrongdoing. GoFundMe's giving guarantee offers donors a full refund in rare cases when something isn't right. This is the first and only donor protection guarantee in the fundraising industry. Donors can file a claim here at, and I'm going to share it just in case you are someone who donated to Maddie. I think there are only 2 donors who haven't gotten their money back. So if you are those 2 people who may not know of this situation, may not know that Maddie lied, and you may come across this video, it is www.gofundme.com/contact/suggest/donor. So I'm going to put it in the comment section just because I wouldn't feel right if there was somebody who came across this video and was like, okay, well, how do I get my money back? I'm sure you would have to obviously have an account. You would have to show receipts. So don't waste your time and try to get money back that you didn't send. That's just embarrassing for you and for everyone involved. So anyways, it is now in the comments if you do need that address. GoFundMe also told News 8 this past Wednesday evening that Russo has been banned from the platform and she is no longer allowed on the organizer list, and that with the police department, FBI cooperation, they were able to get her URL. So she will literally never be able to create another account, basically, with her devices. So the Eldridge Police Department requests that any people or businesses that have donated to Russo contact them at 563-285-3916. Again, that is 563-285-3916. So what happened after she went on her platforms? Like I said, she went extremely viral, and she started out by sharing tips, tricks, advice, and sharing her day-to-day life in a blog style status. And when I say tips and tricks, for example, there was one question sent in by a leukemia patient who was a little bit confused at the fact that Maddie still had not only her hair, but her brows and lashes, which is extremely rare with a leukemia patient because they do undergo so much invasive chemotherapy and radiation. So they were very confused as to why she still had her hair. And Maddie did a reply video on TikTok and said, oh, well, the reason why I still have my hair is because of biotin. Now, if you are not someone who takes biotin, you may not really get why this is so bizarre. Biotin is a very basic hair, skin, and nail vitamin. To think that no leukemia patient or cancer patient has tried biotin to try to save their hair, that is literally a slap in the face. Of course they have. It is the most basic thing. So I think that they were thinking that maybe she had found some like remedy or something to be able to keep her hair, because literally not only did this girl have all of her hair was long and like thick hair. So very, very rare for a leukemia / pancreatic cancer patient. After she started sharing tips and tricks, there were different associations and businesses and colleges that reached out to Maddie and wanted her to come and speak and represent not only pancreatic cancer, but also leukemia, one of which was the American Cancer Society. Now, if you're not familiar with ACA, ACA is American Cancer Association, and it is the largest cancer nonprofit organization in the country. Matter of fact, it is one of the #1 donors to all children's hospitals, including St. Jude. It is a huge corporation. I mean, absolutely huge. For example, almost every celebrity that you've ever heard of donates to the American Cancer Society annually. I'm one person who does, who's not a celebrity, but a couple celebrities like Ariana Grande has donated over $10 million. Taylor Swift has donated almost $20 million to the American Cancer Association. So the fact that the American Cancer Association donated to Maddie Russo, that's insane. They not only donated to Maddie, but then asked her to come and speak at their annual event. And Maddie did. She came and she spoke and told her story and all of these things. Now, there's not many characters that come into play, but there's one, which is her mother. Now, I was able to find her mother's Facebook, and on her mother's Facebook, her mother started sharing in January of 2022 about Maddie's diagnosis. Now, the reason why I feel like this is important is because Maddie did not go public on any platform about her diagnosis until February of 2022. However, after doing some research, she actually claimed to have been diagnosed in late 2021. Now, I find that odd that her mother didn't speak at all about her cancer until January, considering that her mother spoke so much about it moving forward. Now, I'm going to share my opinion at the end, but I want you guys to just keep this in mind. Her mother backed up every single claim that Maddie shared. Now, I was able to find a couple of different pages on Reddit and one page on TikTok where they were saying that apparently Maddie and her mother had been estranged, which is very hard for me to believe considering she was 19 years old, only been out of the house like a year, but I digress. Anyways, allegedly, according to this particular Reddit post and TikTok, is that they were estranged, and Maddie contacted her mom and said, "Mom, I have been diagnosed with cancer." Scott Adcock says, "What's up, JP?" And her mom was like, "Oh my gosh,"
eating pizza and drinking beer.
And then got involved in Maddie's life. Now, I do not agree with that. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because I did some research. So I'll share my opinion at the end. But like I said, her mother's Facebook is flooded with basically every single post that Maddie shared on Instagram. So everything that Maddie said on Instagram, her mother backed up on Facebook. Now, aside from that, Maddie also posted photos. Hey, Scott, posted photos on Instagram and TikToks with this equipment as well. And this equipment, I mean, she had a feeding tube tower. So the tower is like what you would see in the hospital if you were getting like antibiotics through IV or anything. She also had feeding tube bags, and she had the feeding tube itself. Also, Maddie had what looked to be a port inserted on her chest. Now, when I say look to be inserted is because there is no proof that it was ever inserted into her actual chest, and the port would move around. So if you pay attention to Maddie's TikToks and you scroll back through, at some points the port will be down here, some points will be up here, then it'll be down here, then be up, like it moves around, which is very, 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 very rare for a port to move at all, right? So also with the feeding tube, it was in her nose. But I found a lot of videos from different nurses talking about feeding tubes and the way that they are inserted. And they said that it's inserted so far, there's like a little purple tip. You should not be able to see the purple whatsoever, but you can see about 2 to 3 centimeters of the purple in all of Maddie's videos and photos with the feeding tube in. Now, later, after Maddie was arrested, so people basically started to put two and two together that things just weren't adding up. And a lot of nurses and doctors, including oncologists, started to comment on Maddie's stuff saying, this doesn't make sense. What you are receiving for treatment for this doesn't make any sense. Maddie also then began to share that she only had an 11% chance of surviving more than 2 years. So her odds were against her. And I think that that was just a means to try to gain sympathy later on. I mean, I think that if you are the type of person to lie about something so crazy like cancer, and you're lie about something like that, I think it's like desperate times call for desperate measures. Like you're already asshole deep in this situation. So I think you're just kind of like just scraping at the surface for whatever your manipulative brain can conjure up. And I think she was just like, okay, I'll just say that I have 11% chance to live. And so she spews that out, which does buy her a little bit of time, but not very much. And by January of this year, people were 100% like, this is not true. She has all of her hair, all of her brows, all of her lashes. That just would not happen. She also shared a photo on Instagram stating that she was losing hair and shared a photo. But in the photo, it's clearly cut hair. It's not hair that's fallen out. I mean, I lose a fistful of hair every day in the shower. That's not
losing hair.
That is not what losing hair feels like or looks like. An actual hair that's been lost is the full strand of hair. This was like actual like cut hair. So social media starts to put two and two together and finally starts to call out Maddie in a very severe way. And eventually in January of this year, Maddie was arrested in her college classroom. How embarrassing. She was arrested by police after so many reports were brought in, but two in particular caught the police department's eye because two of them were some of the top oncologists in the country. And they claimed that there was absolutely no way that Maddie had either of these diseases and that she was making everything up. So after getting these two phone calls, the police department decided that they were going to run through HIPAA to see if they could be able to get Maddie's medical records. Now, this is actually a pretty tough process. So this actual investigation started in early December of 2022, but didn't come to fruition until mid to late January of this year because you have to go through HIPAA when it comes to medical records. Anyways, HIPAA was completely compliant. TikTok was completely compliant. TikTok deleted and gave FBI and detectives all access to Maddie's TikToks and made it to where Maddie was unable to upload any new TikToks, even if she wanted to, which at the time she wasn't uploading because of the amount of immense hate that she was receiving. Also, at this point, her mother had went completely silent on her Facebook and wasn't sharing any more updates about Maddie either, even though so many people were going to her mother for some sort of explanation or just like, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? Can you explain? And keep in mind at this point, there's been way more than 40 grand donated to Maddie. That's just what's been donated to the GoFundMe. We're not talking about how much was donated during TikTok lives. We're not talking about how much was Cash App to Maddie, how much was just given to her. It has been, this is alleged.
Jars at stores, probably.
Yeah, I mean, this has been alleged, but there has been a claim that she made over $200,000 in this year-long scam. So, like I said, take it for what you will, but like JP just said, I mean, stores will put jars like where you can put money in it. Waffle House does it all the time. Her neighborhood hospital was also donating money, which is crazy to me because she claimed to not be going to that hospital after detectives got involved. So detectives ended up doing a pretty much nationwide search of anywhere that she could be receiving these treatments while they were waiting on HIPAA to comply with medical records. They did essentially a nationwide search of any hospital where she could have possibly went and gotten these treatments. And Maddie had no such, she hadn't been in her state, in outside states. and pretty much anywhere within a 1,000-mile radius. And by this point, detectives were able to get access to Maddie's medical records, where they then found out that not only does Maddie not have pancreatic cancer, but she also does not have leukemia, nor has she ever had either disease. She is absolutely perfectly healthy. So Maddie is arrested and is under a $100,000 bond. And the same gentleman, who is a 60-year-old man who helped set up Maddie's GoFundMe account, he is no relative of hers. I did do some research to find out. And as far as I know, he isn't related to her in any way. It has been said and rumored that they are lovers, or he is somewhat of a sugar daddy to her. He is one of her largest donors. And like I said, he did start her GoFundMe account for her to kind of transition from Cash App and Venmo. So he comes up with $10,000 to give a bail bondsman and bails Maddie out of jail.
Fucker.
Now, just a couple of weeks ago, Maddie was arraigned at the district court by her college where she lives, and she did plead not guilty. Now, this is not going to go to court until mid-May, but I think that it was pretty crazy that she pled not guilty, but I do think that it does kind of paint a picture to give us a little bit more insight as to what's going on right now, because there's really no way to find anything out. The detectives and the police department in that area has everything under lock. I do know that the prosecutor did try to make a lot of things public when she was arraigned, and the judge went against that and denied it. So nothing really is public at this time. Everything is essentially hush hush. I did find a couple of different lawyers and people who work for the Justice Department allegedly in that area who knew some details but wouldn't share much, because they said they could lose their job, that it was supposed to be completely quiet. And basically the only thing that we know at this time is that they are alleging that the mother has Munchausen's by proxy. So if you've never heard of this before, one thing that can make you probably a little bit familiar with it is if you are familiar with the Gypsy Rose Blanchard situation. Her mother had Munchausen's by proxy and essentially had Gypsy believing she couldn't walk. She had cancer. She was bald. She couldn't have, sugar. She was diabetic. She had all of these different diseases. But with Munchausen's by proxy, typically they go and get actual medicated for these things. They also will go to actual doctors and physicians and demand that they have these diseases. However, in my personal opinion, I think that that would explain a lot in this situation. If we can think about it, Maddie was already out of the home. Also, in Maddie's LinkedIn video, she claimed that the reason why she was tested and her blood was tested to begin with was because her brother was diagnosed with diabetes. So her mother had her have a blood test done to make sure that Maddie didn't also have diabetes, or it wasn't in her bloodline to get it later. And through that, she found out that she had pancreatic cancer. Now, I did watch a few different doctors and oncologists videos who said that that would be like 1 in a bazillion chance that you would find that out through blood work. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. From what I've Googled, which you can trust Google, you know what I'm saying. Like, Google is not the most, right. Like, it's not the fucking most accurate shit in the world. But from what I found out from Google, you cannot get that through a blood test. Like, it's the only thing you can really find out is your blood, white blood cell count, I think is what it said, but you wouldn't know that it was like pancreatic cancer. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, take that for what you will. But basically, her mother is what had her get all of these tests started. And I also find it very hard to believe that Maddie at 19 years old, 18, 19, when all this was going on, would not only be familiar with so much about pancreatic cancer, but also leukemia, enough to where so many people believed her, donated to her. American Cancer Society let her come out and speak, like her college let her speak. Like, this went on for a substantial amount of time. I just find it really hard to believe that an 18, 19-year-old girl would have so much familiarity with not only the disease, but also with different procedures, different medications, feeding tubes. Like, she had supplies, y'all. And this also led me down another rabbit hole of how easy it is to actually purchase this type of supplies. You can literally get it from Amazon, eBay, or just Google what you're looking for, and it'll send you to like a medical supply wholesaler. Like, it's absolutely crazy. You can absolutely purchase any of the shit that I'm telling you. Like, it's crazy. Like, why would an everyday person who doesn't have these illnesses, why would I need a feeding tube bag? Also, when Maddie was arrested, in her possession, she had some pretty interesting things. She had a 2023 Kia Sportage that was paid for in full. She had over $20,000 doll hairs, bitch, 20,000 in cash. She also had over $30,000 in a GoFundMe account, and which was transferred to her banking accounts. She had a bunch of medications that were not in her name, including one for nausea that was in a family member's name, which they did not share. I'm assuming it's her mom's, but I can't. That's just alleged. She also had a bunch of feeding tube supplies, but no like actual nutrient, like not the actual feeding liquid. I don't know what you call it, but like what you put in the fucking feeding bag. There was none of that. And then they found the feeding bag was full of cotton balls. So all of those photos that we've seen on Instagram, all of those videos that this little twit shared on TikTok with the feeding tube, that was fucking cotton balls in the bag, bitch. Cotton balls. Hey, Brianna, y'all, it's fucking crazy, absolutely insane. And I just feel like no lawyer would be like, yeah, for sure, not guilty. Like, just say you're not guilty, unless they're going to try to pin it on the mother, which is what I think is going to happen. This is just my prediction, my opinion. They're like assholes. Everybody's got an opinion. In my opinion, I think they're going to try to throw it on the mom and throw in Munchausen by proxy and say that, you know, the mom has probably been trying to self-diagnose more than likely her whole life, which I don't think is too far-fetched, because I know if I was to claim some shit like that, my mother would 100% not be backing me up on Facebook unless she knew for sure I had cancer. Like, number one, if I had it, my mom would know that I would for sure have her there, like 100%. Like, it's just crazy, you guys. This whole story is insane. But like I said, she will not be going to court. It will be a whole trial. It's not going to happen until like mid-May. So we have some time before any of this goes down. In my opinion, I just think that this goes to show just what this generation is all about. It's all about views and money and whatever they can do to get views and money. And it's really sad that so many people are using not only cancer, but also mental illnesses. We just had that one girl last year get called out for faking Tourette's, which is, I had one of my best friends in college have. Like, it is the most uncomfortable thing ever. They feel so uncomfortable all of the time. I was constantly just trying to reassure her and make her feel comfortable, because that's not the most comfortable thing to be yelling out a lot of the time obscenities in the middle of class or whatever. And this girl faked having Tourette's because there is a whole Tourette's community. And of course, people are interested in the disease. It is not like, in my entire life, I've met one person with it. Like, it's not like the most widespread, like so many people have, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy that there are so many people not only faking cancer, but we have mental illnesses, we have Tourette's. Like, it's just absolutely fucked. So I'm really curious to know your guys' thoughts and opinion of Maddie Russo. Like I said, she was 19, so fucking young. She's still 19. Share your comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think. And if you want to support this channel, which I would so appreciate, like very much appreciate, my Cash App is in the comment section. It will not charge you, and it won't charge me because YouTube charges me. So instead of super chats and super stickers and all those things, Cash App you girl, support the channel. It helps out a lot. Here's what people don't understand, that faking diseases and speaking it into existence. So they are probably exactly. I would be scared to death. Like, could you imagine the karma that this girl's going to get from faking fucking cancer? What the fuck? It's so fucked. It's just like the most fucked shit I've ever heard in my life. I just really cannot. I really cannot with people. Like 100%, you guys. I love you guys so much. It was so much fun hanging out with you guys tonight. Again, if you would like to support the channel, I would fucking appreciate the shit out of you. I'm not working right now, so this is my job right now, guys, and YouTube doesn't pay me shit because I talk like an actual adult in 2023 and I cuss. So they take all my money. So if you would like to support me again, Cash App is in the comments section. There's more things in the description box if you don't have Cash App. I love you guys so much, and until the very fucking next time, bye.